Your Grace, Vice-Chancellor, Lord Mayor, Mayor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Vivienne Faull moved from Berkshire to the Wirral as a small child when her father took a post as a veterinarian scientist with Liverpool University at Neston. Her family were practicing Christians, attending church in Williston, and an active faith was part of Vivienne's childhood. She attended Queen's School in Chester under the formidable head teacher Elizabeth MacLean, universally known as Mac, who managed to propel 10 of 60 final-year girls into Oxford or Cambridge that year. Vivienne had studied French history and music at school and went on to read history at St. Hilda's. She was strongly advised by Mac not to attend one of the colleges that had only recently admitted women, but rather to attend a women's college. During the post-sixth form admission process, Vivienne undertook what we might now regard as a gap year with Lee Abbey Community Hostel in London, which catered for international university students and which introduced her to a range of cultures and communities. After gaining her degree, Vivienne took a year to work with the Church Missionary Society in Bihar in North India, a trip cut short by political instability, and returned to youth work at Shrewsbury House in Everton, bringing together young people from Catholic and Protestant communities. By this time, Vivienne had determined to train for the ministry, but was also increasingly aware that selection was in all ways extraordinary for women. She was told that, I quote, "We think you have a vocation, but there is no pathway for you to follow." Vivienne became more aware of the structural difficulties she'd faced when at university and became more determined to challenge on these matters. She entered St. John's College, Nottingham, as the first woman to be funded to train for full-time ministry. She subsequently served as a deaconess at St. Matthew and St. James, Mossley Hill, in the Diocese of Liverpool from 1982 to 85, moving to become chaplain, later fellow of Clare College, Cambridge. She began cathedral ministry in 1990 as chaplain at Gloucester Cathedral. In 1994, she moved to become canon pastor and later vice provost at Coventry Cathedral. In 2000, she was appointed provost of Leicester, the first woman to lead a Church of England cathedral. Becoming dean of Leicester in 2002, she oversaw significant developments of its site and facilities, as well as its work as a place of gathering for all peoples at the heart of one of the most diverse cities in Europe. While at Leicester, she participated in the Common Purpose Profile Programme and was a governor of Leicester College, one of the largest and most diverse further education colleges in the country. As a trustee of Curve, Leicester's new theatre, Vivienne was and remains a strong advocate for the power of drama and theatre to bring communities together and to act as an educative tool. In 2009, she was elected chairman of the Association of English Cathedrals, the cathedral's representative body, and is presently serving her second term on the English Anglican Roman Catholic Committee for Ecumenical Conversations. She is one of 8 women elected to participate in the work of the Church of England House of Bishops and has been praised for, I quote, "the combination of force and tact that enables her to disagree firmly but without heat or hostility, a virtue that shines through her career." Vivienne was installed as Dean of York in 2012, and I'll quote here from a national broadsheet. "It was not really a surprise when in 2012 she was named Dean of York Minster with a staff of 160 and 600 volunteers to coordinate. Any man of her skills would have been a bishop 10 or 15 years earlier." Some other newspapers have even discussed the runners and riders in the race to be first woman bishop. The consecration of Libby Lane earlier this year as Bishop of Stockport, serving as a suffragan bishop in this diocese, has again brought the matter to wider public attention. Vivienne has perhaps been spared further media controversy in that matter by the coincidence of her move from Leicester to York, having more or less exactly paralleled the heated national debate around the final resting place of King Richard III, a matter which is presently culminating. On that very contemporary note, Vice-Chancellor, in recognition of her outstanding contribution to the Church, in the name of the Council and of the Senate, I present to you, for admission to the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, in this university, the Very Reverend Vivienne Faull, Dean of York.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Letters honoris causa in this university. It gives me great pleasure to invite the Very Reverend Dr. Vivienne Faull to address the congregation.
Vice-Chancellor, Lord Mayor, High Sheriff, Bishop, Dean, fellow graduands, I am both honoured and grateful for the esteem that this degree conveys. Chester remains close to my heart, and the college, now university, was a daily backdrop to my journey to school. I'm also honoured to be here alongside the Singh twins, reminders of those from the Sikh community in both India and Leicester who have supported me over the years. I am here because of the many, many women who have paved the way for me and for others. And I carry with me today the story of just one of those who, from the east side of the Pennines, her work has been essential to bringing me to this time and this place. Christian Howard became a lay canon provincial of York Minster. In other words, a canon based in York for the whole of the Church of the North of England. And she was appointed because as a lay person and as a lay woman, she was reshaping the church. She was, as she put it herself, a political animal, the daughter of a member of parliament, the granddaughter of a suffragist, and skilled at the art of getting things done as she grew up in the 50s and 60s and 70s, increasingly leading the life of the Church of England. She was also a scholar. More than that, as her Wikipedia entry designates her, she was a lay theologian. And when the Church of England began in the 1970s to consider once again whether women might be ordained priest, Christian was asked to write the major theological resource text. 30 years later, when the church began to consider whether women might be ordained to the office of bishop, it took 15 of us 3 years to write the equivalent text. In the 1970s, the bishops and the church assembly knew exactly what Christian would argue for, that women should indeed be ordained priest. But they also knew she would be thorough in her research, scrupulously fair in representing the views of those who disagreed, and careful in articulating the detail of the case for change. She bequeathed me her notes, piles of semi-legible A4 paper and a card index, now in the Women's Library in London. Christian was born into privilege. She was eccentric, she was funny, she was courageous. When she was 10, she was asked what she would like for her birthday, and she answered, a cricket match on the lawn. The lawn at Castle Howard was certainly large enough. When she was taken from the castle into York Hospital for her last days in 1999, she had the Movement for the Ordination of Women tea towel with its text, "A woman's place is in the House of Bishop," posted on her wall as she died. So it was with great delight that in January 2015, Libby Lane, a priest of this diocese of Chester, became the first woman chosen to be consecrated bishop in the Church of England. And that service took place in York Minster, Christian Howard's church. I had the privilege of planning and hosting that service, including the arrival of more than 100 bishops from across the globe, an arrival that had to be carefully coordinated, and ensuring that the lone protester had his say, and then enabling the great congregation to respond to the Archbishop's question, "Is it your will that Libby should be ordained?" with the resounding affirmation, "It is." Outside the Minster, hundreds of camera crews and reporters reminded us that what we were doing mattered not just for Libby, not just for the church, but it mattered for the world. It matters symbolically because, to summarize many years of debate, it shows that women are people too. It matters theologically because it means that the way we think and speak of God will subtly change. It matters politically because it helps to bring to the debate those issues for which we are only now finding words. Female genital mutilation, forced marriage, rape used as a weapon of war, as well as the long familiar issues around the way poverty and violence particularly impact on women's lives. So the ordination of a woman as bishop matters pastorally because women are beginning to bring these concerns to the top table of both church and state. So as I thank the University of Chester for this great honour, I'm also profoundly grateful for those women of faith who have gone ahead of me and those who work alongside me, those who, sometimes eccentric, sometimes uppity, have in faith and hope brought new life to the church and to the wider world. Thank you.